Nature is supposed to be this brutal, efficient machine where only the best hunters survive. Millions of years of evolution producing perfect killing machines. Well, some animals clearly miss that memo because there are predators out there hunting with a success rate that would get them fired from any job that required basic competence. Number 1, the lion apex predator with a 75% failure rate. Lions are the poster animal for apex predators. The mane, the roar, the whole thing. So it might genuinely surprise you that lions fail roughly 75 to 80% of their hunts, meaning 3 out of every 4 times a lion goes full predator mode, the prey just walks away. Female lions, who do most of the actual hunting, run at about 48 kilometers per hour, but can only sustain that for maybe 100 meters before they overheat. The animals they're chasing, like zebras and wildebeest, can run faster and longer. So the lion's main strategy isn't really skill so much as it's hoping to get close enough before the target notices. They rely heavily on ambush, coordination, and frankly, a lot of luck. A single lion hunting alone drops to about a 17 to 19% success rate, which is just embarrassing for something that gets called the king of the jungle, a title that's also wrong since lions live on grasslands. Male lions succeed on solo hunts at an even lower rate and spend most of their time stealing kills from the females anyway, which is a whole other conversation about the audacity of apex predators. Number 2, the cheetah, fastest animal that regularly gets mugged. The cheetah is the fastest land animal on Earth, hitting 112 kilometers per hour, and somehow still manages to lose a huge portion of its food after catching it. Cheetahs have a success rate of about 40 to 50% on hunts, which is actually better than lions, but the problem is what happens after the catch. Cheetahs are physically built for speed at the expense of almost everything else. They have smaller teeth and weaker jaws than other big cats, a lightweight frame, and semi-retractable claws, which helps them run but doesn't help them fight. After a sprint, a cheetah needs 15 to 30 minutes to recover before it can even eat, because its body temperature spikes so high during the chase that eating immediately would cause serious problems. Lions, hyenas, leopards, and even vultures use that recovery window to just take the kill. Researchers studying cheetahs in the Serengeti found that they lose somewhere between 10 and 15% of their kills to other predators, with some studies suggesting it could be higher depending on predator density in the area. A cheetah that just sprinted at maximum speed for its dinner caught the thing and then has to lie there watching a hyena eat. It is genuinely one of the more depressing images in nature. Number 3, the polar bear, magnificent hunter. With a 2% success rate, polar bears are massive, powerful, and have been surviving Arctic conditions for thousands of years, and they are spectacularly bad at catching seals. Their primary hunting technique is called still hunting, where they find a hole in the ice that seals use to breathe, and then they wait, sometimes for hours. When the seal surfaces, the bear has less than a second to strike. Studies tracking polar bears found their overall hunting success rate on ringed seals sits somewhere around 2% of attempts. 2%. They compensate by eating enormous amounts when they do succeed, packing on fat reserves that sustain them through weeks or months of failure. A large male can go without eating for up to 4 months during summer when sea ice retreats and hunting becomes nearly impossible. They burn roughly 12,500 calories a day in cold water. So when the hunting is bad, they're essentially running a caloric deficit that would hospitalize most animals. The sea ice reduction due to climate change is making their already dismal success rate worse by shrinking the platform they hunt from, which means polar bears are getting worse at hunting in real time, which is a uniquely grim situation for an animal that was already barely managing. Number 4, the Komodo dragon, venomous hunter that mostly just waits to win. Komodo dragons are the largest lizards on Earth, can reach 3 meters in length, and were long believed to kill through bacteria in their saliva so toxic that a single bite would cause death through infection within days. That's a cool story, and it's mostly wrong. Researchers confirmed in 2009 that Komodo dragons have venom glands that produce anticoagulant compounds, meaning their bite prevents blood from clotting and causes a drop in blood pressure, which leads to shock. The bacteria theory came from the observation that prey animals often died days after escaping a dragon, but the venom explanation turned out to be more accurate. So yes, they have venom, but their actual hunting strategy involves biting prey once, and then following it for potentially days while it slowly deteriorates. That's not a hunt so much as it's just a very patient waiting game. They can eat up to 80% of their body weight in a single meal because they need to, since those meals don't come easily. Their ambush success on large prey like deer and pigs is actually reasonable. But when prey escapes, the dragon's plan is literally to just track the smell and show up when things get bad enough. Success through patience rather than skill, which I guess works, but barely qualifies as predation in the traditional sense. Number 5. The great white shark, apex predator that fails most of the time. Great white sharks have one of the most recognizable reputations in the animal kingdom, built almost entirely on the premise that they are ruthlessly efficient hunters. Their actual success rate on ambush attacks targeting seals is somewhere between 55 and 74% depending on the study, which sounds decent until you consider that missing an ambush from below at full speed is pretty hard. At Seal Island in South Africa, researchers documented great whites missing seals by launching completely out of the water at speeds around 40 kilometers per hour, full aerial breaches because the seal moved slightly. Juvenile great whites have a much worse success rate because they haven't learned hunting techniques yet and spend years essentially practicing on easy targets before they can reliably take larger prey. Great whites also regularly investigate objects, boats, and buoys by biting them, which suggests their threat assessment isn't as sophisticated as their reputation implies. They have no hands, so mouthing things is how they explore, and that exploratory bite on a human is usually followed by disengagement, which is why most shark attack survivors are exactly that, survivors. Statistically, vending machines kill more people annually than great white sharks do, which says something about the gap between reputation and reality for one of the ocean's most feared animals. Number 6. The orca, technically brilliant but working way too hard. Orcas are genuinely exceptional hunters with complex coordinated techniques, so they almost don't belong on this list, except for the specific populations that hunt great white sharks. A single great white liver contains roughly 60 kilograms of fat-rich tissue, and orcas figured out they can kill a shark, extract just the liver, and leave the rest. The technique requires the orca to flip the shark upside down, inducing tonic immobility, a state where sharks become essentially paralyzed when inverted, then ripping into the abdomen to reach the liver with a precision that researchers describe as almost surgical. The issue is the effort involved versus the payoff for other prey. When orcas hunt baleen whales, they've been documented running relays, taking turns harassing a whale for up to 8 hours before the whale exhausts and drowns. 8 hours of coordinated effort for one meal. Orcas hunting herring use a technique called carousel feeding where they stun fish with tail slaps. But the fish are tiny, so a 0 kilogram orca is essentially hunting smelt for hours to stay fed. They are absolutely sophisticated, but the caloric math on some of their prey choices is genuinely questionable, and the amount of work involved makes you wonder if evolution gave them too much intelligence and not enough easy food sources. Number 7, the archerfish can hit a target but still mostly fails. Archerfish are freshwater fish from Southeast Asia and Australia that hunt by shooting jets of water at insects sitting on branches above the surface, knocking them into the water. The accuracy is actually impressive, hitting targets up to 3 meters away while compensating for the refraction difference between water and air, which distorts apparent position. They can also adjust the water jet mid-flight by moving their tongue, creating a pulsing stream where the back of the jet is faster than the front, concentrating force at impact. A nature study from 2012 found archerfish can even learn from watching other archerfish shoot without trying themselves, suggesting some observational learning. The part that qualifies them for this list is that archerfish miss a substantial portion of shots, and when an insect does fall, every archerfish in the group darts for it, regardless of who fired the shot. The fish that lands the target often doesn't get to eat because larger fish in the group steal the prey, so the shooter invests all the energy and accuracy and another fish gets lunch. Their success rate on any given shot sits around 27 to 38% depending on target height, and even successful shots don't guarantee the shooter eats. Spending your whole evolutionary niche on a skill that other fish in your own group exploit is a particular kind of unfortunate. Number 8. The batfish, a predator that walks instead of swims. Red-lipped batfish live at depths of around 75 meters in the waters around the Galapagos Islands, and instead of swimming to catch prey, they walk along the ocean floor using their pectoral fins as legs. They're not fast. They're not agile. They look genuinely distressed to exist. They have a small protrusion on their head called an elysium, similar to the lure of an anglerfish, that supposedly attracts small fish and crustaceans close enough to ambush. The walking adaptation means they gave up speed and the ability to pursue prey across open water, so their entire hunting strategy depends on prey coming to them while they shuffle along the bottom, looking bewildered. Their strike speed when prey does approach is reasonable, but the waiting involved means they expend very little energy and thus need very little food, which is, I guess, one solution to being a terrible active hunter. They're not endangered and they survive fine, so their approach works on the biological scoreboard, but watching a brightly red-lipped fish walk slowly across the ocean floor, waiting for something to wander into its face, is hard to frame as predatory competence. They represent a general strategy in nature where giving up on the hunt entirely and just becoming bait is apparently a valid evolutionary path. Some of these animals have been doing this for millions of years, with success rates that would suggest complete failure, which means nature is a lot more tolerant of inefficiency than the documentaries make it look. As always, I love you guys.